The guests froze. The wedding music stopped mid-note. All eyes turned toward me. The old man standing at the altar, clutching a glass of water that trembled in my hand. My daughter, Emily, looked horrified. Her groom, Tyler, smirked, that arrogant grin I had grown to despise. And then he said the words that shattered the air. "Maybe if your dad wasn't so low-class, Emily, he'd know not to show up dressed like a janitor at our wedding." A few people gasped. Others laughed nervously. I could hear whispers ripple through the crowd. My hands clenched. My tie, simple but neatly pressed, suddenly felt like a symbol of shame. But what Tyler didn't know was that I wasn't the fool he thought I was, because in my pocket was something that would end this wedding before the words "I do" ever left his mouth. I wasn't supposed to say anything that day. Emily had begged me, "Dad, please, no drama. Tyler just wants everything to go perfectly. Perfect." That's what Tyler loved. Appearances, control, the illusion of perfection. From the moment I met him, something about him didn't sit right. His handshake was too firm, his compliments too practiced. He called me sir, but there was always a hint of mockery in his tone, as if I were some relic from a forgotten time. Still, for my daughter's happiness, I bit my tongue. I'd raised Emily alone after her mother passed away when she was 10. I'd worked as a mechanic my whole life, and she was my pride. The first in the family to graduate college, the first to chase big dreams. When she brought Tyler home, a polished lawyer from an upper-class family, I told myself to be happy for her. But my gut told me there was a mask beneath his charm. I just didn't know how right I was. It started 3 weeks before the wedding. I had stopped by Emily's apartment to drop off her late mother's necklace, something blue for the ceremony. But as I approached, I heard voices through the slightly open door. Tyler's voice, cold, cruel. "Your dad's embarrassing, Emily. He'll ruin our image in front of my firm's partners. Maybe you should tell him to sit in the back or not come at all." I froze. Emily tried to defend me, but Tyler just scoffed. "Come on, babe. He's a mechanic. My friends will think you're marrying down. I'm trying to protect our reputation." My heart sank, but I stayed silent. I walked away quietly, pretending I hadn't heard a thing. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at old photographs. Emily as a little girl sitting on my shoulders, covered in grease from the shop, laughing like the world was perfect. No one was going to make her feel ashamed of her roots. Not while I was still breathing. So, I made a few calls, one to a friend of mine, a retired cop who still had connections, and within 2 days, I had everything I needed. A folder full of truth. It turns out, Tyler wasn't the golden boy he pretended to be. He had been fired from his previous law firm for embezzling funds from a client's settlement, something quietly buried with a mutual agreement to part ways. Worse yet, he had been dating someone else, his ex, while he was already engaged to Emily. I could have told her right then, but I knew my daughter. She wouldn't have believed me without proof. So I waited, for the moment he would show his true colors. And that moment came at the altar. When Tyler called me low class, I saw my daughter's face crumble in front of hundreds of guests. I saw her question herself, her choices, her worth. That was it. I slowly stepped forward. "You're right, Tyler," I said, my voice calm but steady. "I am low class. I fix cars, not bank accounts. I don't own a mansion or fancy suits. But at least," I pulled the folder from my pocket and set it on the altar, "I'm not a liar, a thief, or a cheat." His smirk faltered. "What? What are you talking about?" he stammered. "Oh, I think you know." I opened the folder and held up a few pages. "Bank statements, emails, even a letter from your former employer." "Should I read it out loud, or do you want to?" Gasps erupted from the crowd. Emily's eyes widened in horror. "You stole from your clients, didn't you?" Covered it up, switched firms, and pretended it never happened. "That's not true," he shouted. "Really? Then how about this?" I flipped to a photo, a screenshot of his texts with another woman. "You've been meeting your ex behind my daughter's back." 2 nights ago, at the Grandview Hotel, room 406. The silence was deafening. Emily's hands shook. She stepped back from him, tears streaming down her face. "Tyler, is that true?" He tried to grab her hand, but she pulled away. "Emily, listen. It's not what it looks like." "Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like," I cut in. "You humiliated me, Tyler." But now everyone sees who the real disgrace is. The officiant didn't know what to do. Guests started murmuring, phones came out, people whispering and recording. Tyler's parents rushed up to him, red-faced and furious. And Emily, my sweet girl, took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and said the bravest thing I'd ever heard her say. "This wedding is over." She turned to me, voice trembling. "Dad, can we go home?" I nodded, proud beyond words. As we walked out, the church echoed with whispers and camera clicks. Behind us, Tyler's perfect world crumbled. Outside, Emily hugged me so tightly I could feel her heartbeat against mine. "I'm sorry I didn't listen to you," she whispered. I smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. "You didn't need to listen, sweetheart. You just needed to see." Later that night, we sat on the porch of my old house, the same place where she'd learned to ride her bike, where her mother used to hum lullabies through summer evenings. Emily leaned her head on my shoulder. "You saved me, Dad." I chuckled softly. "Nah, you saved yourself. I just handed you the truth." She looked up at me, a faint smile returning to her lips. "Guess Mom would have been proud of you." I stared out at the stars and whispered, "I hope so." The crickets sang. The air was cool, and for the first time in weeks, I felt peace. Because sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't anger or humiliation. It's truth spoken at the perfect moment. And that night, I learned something powerful. Even when the world calls you low class, integrity, real, honest love, will always stand taller than lies dressed in luxury.